So back to the seminar. Yes. Say a little bit more about what is it that they're doing, saying that makes you feel engaged?
Well, they're passionate and they are really interested in sharing in a real authentic way and pulling you in with them.
Great. And that's authentic, not pathetic, or make sure you get the spelling right. Authentic. Great. Anybody else? Maybe one more?
Good tonality.
Good tonality, so good communication skills, eye contact, they listen well, they speak well. So we'll just say good communication skills, just to speed it up.
Good pacing.
Say it again.
Maintaining a good pace. Some people are too fast or too slow.
Great. And tonight I'm not giving you a good example of good pacing. I'm just going fast. However, there are people that love it. They think this is great. Other people are sitting there going, what drug is this guy on? Slow him down. Okay, and again, that I actually do an entire half-day class on communication styles and why people miscommunicate. And there's basically your 4 styles. The DISC personality style, has the same 4 quadrants. Hippocrates had 4 quadrants. Everybody's got 4 quadrants. And there's the fast ones and the slow ones. And the slow ones drive the fast ones crazy and vice versa. So you may not see some good examples of pacing. I'm just going to rock and roll. By the way, I was going to say there's a workbook. Does everybody have a workbook? Sorry, I didn't check. We put them out on this. Could you do me a favor? Isn't this great? I'm asking the person who's just spent her whole 4 days assisting if you can pass out to the people. But just raise your hand until they come around and they'll make sure that they give you one. Edith needs one over here. Okay, great. All right, I'm going to keep moving now. By the way, time out, little tip. You notice I use different alternating colors. Anybody know why? Gets attention. Easier to see if the points are different. And color actually stimulates the brain. Apparently it just gets your brain going a little bit more. Endorphins. Everybody knows about endorphins, the runner's high and all that kind of stuff. There's actually a link. My understanding is that there's a link between endorphins and memory retention. In other words, you remember. It kind of makes sense. If you're in a good mood and having fun, don't you tend to remember more of what you just learned than if you're sitting there going, looking at the clock, when is this thing over? Oh my God, I just wish I could get out of here. How can I sneak out when nobody will see me? Things like that. So if you're engaged and you're laughing, like at the jokes that I make, that would really be good. It makes me feel better. And then you wind up producing lots of endorphins and you remember more. All right? So great presenter has many of those characteristics and more. But again, because of time, we're going to just keep moving. How about a great presentation? I'm not going to write these down. So just shout out some things. What distinguishes or makes for a good presentation?
Well organized and keeps to the objectives at the top.
Great. So there's a clearly stated objective or purpose, and they stick to it. And it's well organized. What else? Way in the back.
Good content.
Good content. So the speaker's knowledgeable. What else?
Involves the audience.
Oops, I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Go ahead.
Involves the audience.
Involves, gets people participating, kind of like right now. Hands are going up, people are shouting, way in the back.
Flows well.
Flows well. Great, what else? Handouts. Handed out ahead of time. One of the things that I did not like about the presenters at this weekend is a lot of them did their talk, and we were all sitting there writing, and then they handed out the handout at the end that had everything. Now, there's some advantage to that from their perspective. They wanted to keep us writing and physically engaged, which kind of made sense. But boy, there was so much information, it was hard to keep track of all of it, and the websites and the phone numbers. So I like them ahead of time, personally. That's why we put them out on the seats for you. Way in the back. Visuals. Now, there's actually a section that I'm going to get to later about PowerPoint versus flip charts and all that. And any of you that have gone to Harv Eker's events, he uses a flip chart. 1,000 people, he uses a flip chart. Now, he's got 2 big 50 by 50 foot screens, and they hone in on it, but he uses flip chart, and he only puts a couple of words, 3, 4, 5 words. This is actually busy. This has got a lot on it. But we'll talk more about that later. All right, great. So now we kind of get a sense of a great presenter, a great presentation. Down at the bottom is your homework. Which ones are your greatest strengths? So that's a chance for you to pick out, 2 or 3. Don't mark up 20 or 30. Pick 2 or 3 where you're really good, and if you're an 8, become a 9. Become a 10. What's the book? Buckingham's First Break All the Rules. And then the second book was Now Discover Your Strengths. Anybody familiar with that? A couple people read it. And they have the Strengths Finder quiz that you can take. And basically what they say is forget about the things you're not that good at. You're better off focusing on the things that you're a 7 and an 8 and make those 8s, 9s, and 10s, and your 2s and 3s automatically become 4s and 5s. They just kind of come along. They come along for the ride, so keep that in mind. I actually at the bottom said, which ones are your areas for improvement? I would pick one. Pick 1 or 2 tonight that you'd like to just move from a 3 to a 4 or 4 to a 5. And if you can do that and you can make one of your 8s a 9 or a 10, then you probably got a lot out of tonight. Or at least I hope you will have. All right, any quick questions on this first page? Great, go to the next page. To me, this is the heart of the preparing part, the designing. Remember I said this is how to design and deliver a powerful presentation. So this next part has a lot more to do with designing. It's called planning a powerful presentation. Okay, one thing you want to do is you want to write it down. You want to write your presentation down so you can practice it. They say that the mind is like a bad neighborhood. Don't go in there alone. Get it out of your head. Right? How many of you have a little voice inside your head? Okay, those of you that didn't raise your hand, it's the little voice that said, what voice? What's he talking about? He must be talking about the person over next to me. Everybody has a little voice inside their head. It chatters away all the time, and that's what can definitely get in your way when you're presenting. If my little voice started going now about the news, about what, which things should I invest in, and how is my stocks doing, how are my stocks doing, and if I had all that going now, I'm not here. I'm not present. Okay, and remember the definition, it's called a presentation. A presentation. You're present when you're doing it. All right, know your purpose. It's letter A. It says, why are you there? What's your commitment to the audience? What's bringing you there? That's why I asked a few of you, why are you here? You want to try to find that out. One way to find that out is find out a little bit more about the audience, if you can. And again, having come to some meetups before, I kind of knew who was going to be here. In fact, I had a big dilemma about what I should wear. Because the general rule of thumb is that you want to be at least at the same level as the highest dressed person in the room. And so I knew Rodney used to wear a suit and a tie, but he was like the only one. And then Mike shows up with a jacket and a tie, and I'm going, oh, I didn't wear my jacket and tie. So I might have blown that.
Sorry.
That's okay. Next time. All right, so why are you there? What's your commitment? Here are some reasons why you might be there. To inform, inspire. This would all go under letter A. Why are you there? To inform, to inspire, to demonstrate, or persuade. So inform, inspire, demonstrate, persuade. I just added another one tonight. I was just reading on the plane back Entrepreneur Magazine. And you know that guy, the guy Kawasaki, Garage.com, and right, wasn't he the guy who did? And he's got 11 public speaking pointers, and he says number 3 is focus on entertaining. He says if you're entertaining and you got some decent content, you're probably going to get good evaluations. People are going to learn stuff. But if you've got great content but a lousy presentation style, you're not engaging, people are just bored stiff, doesn't matter how good your stuff is. So it's probably a little better to err on the side of entertaining and then include some good content along with that. All right, so why are you there? Inform, inspire, demonstrate, persuade, and entertain. In fact, time out. Can I borrow your pen for 1 second? I actually have to add that. Entertain. When you think it, ink it. When you think it, ink it. Otherwise, it just goes right out the door. Been there, done that, and at 57, it's happening more and more. Somebody's got some good memory stuff. Any of you who do multi-level marketing? Okay, good. I got to talk to you on the break. All right. Bottom line. The bottom line is you want the audience to think, feel, say, or do something different at the end of your presentation than they were thinking, feeling, saying, or doing at the start. Think, feel, say, or do something different at the end of your presentation compared to the beginning. If you can do that, then you've accomplished your goal.